welcome back and good evening. Whether you're watching live or on catch-up, either on the Twitch channel or the YouTube channel, welcome in. You're more than welcome. Lovely to see you. As you can see, round 5, Belgium, and if you were there on Tuesday night, you missed an absolute corker. Highly suggest you go and re-watch that. Well, Belgium, famous for its chocolate, its waffles and its beer, which means that IRL today is going to be sweet, doughy, and too much of it will get you intoxicated. Here this evening, and no rain, however it is looking pretty grim out there, so potentially might see some rain, have to wait and see. Andy Rudin, not seen him or her before, so that will probably be Andy's debut as well. All dry, thank you very much. So, relatively straightforward session coming up. Q1, 18 minutes, where 19 get reduced to 15. Q2, 15-minute session, where 15 get reduced to 10. And then Q3, the top 10 go at it for 12 minutes for pole position. Still early doors and early days. Round 5 of 18 in this season for Season 4. And kicking us off at Belgium, we have Firebird. Get some DRS down this main straight towards turn 1. Pick your braking point. Obviously don't lock up if you're running no ABS. And swing that car out wide and plant on the throttle without losing any traction. On the run down to Eau Rouge and Radion, it really is quite a tricky corner. You may even see some overtakes going into Eau Rouge, and at the top of Radion you get some more DRS as you thunder down towards the 3-part corner. Lacon, turn 5 and 6, mid-speed chicane, very easy to lose traction and grip as Firebird's just getting a little bit out of shape on the exit of turn 7 through Rivage, the very long turn 8. Pick your line and try and get a good enough exit to set you up for turn 9, which has no name. On the run down to a double left, turns 10 and 11, known ultimately as Puon, and that is what happens when you clip an inside curb. So, we pick things up with Carito as he exits Puon and heads into turns 12 and 13. Again, another mid-speed chicane. Towards the end of Sector 2, you've got a couple of right-handers, 14 and 15, Stavilo. You might hear during the course of the evening, and completely flat out in dry conditions going through turns 16 and 17, Blanchimont. On the run down to the bus stop chicane for the final 2 corners, turns 18 and 19. Don't go too deep on that right-hander, you'll need some space for the left. Carito navigating that pretty well, and Carito sets us off with a 44.9. Padge goes quicker by half seconds, currently setting pace. Evening, Johnny B, hope you're well. TD on the medium compound tyre, mediums will be slower than the soft compounds, but to only be a 10th off Carito with that time is not too bad at all. Asthma Frog, oh, haven't seen a slide like that since the annual trip to Upton Towers. Oh, and Asthma Frog has gone into neutral. Got out of the way of his teammates. That'll be Snacks, I believe. Snacks pops in there with the quickest time so far, 1:44.2. Very long track here, so if you invalidate, you're going to have to wait possibly another 2 or 3 minutes before you can even get another lap time on the board. So invalidations will be crucial here, especially as you get towards Q3. Any mistakes and repeated invalidations will be punished. Whereas other tracks that are shorter, you can go for multiple runs. Evening, Mr. Wiggles. Gillian, 43.3. 1 second quicker almost than Snacks. A couple of bankers on the board there. Firebird with a 45.6. Andy just popping in with the same lap time as well. Asma Joseph, banker laps, but I imagine going again. And Colucci goes 7th fastest, just slightly shy of TD. E69 on the mediums has done a 44.5. That's pretty good for first competitive lap time in 81. Ten performing very well on Tuesdays. Can he replicate that here tonight? That's a good start. It's a 44.1. And maybe that just shows how good Killian's lap was. If everyone else is managing a low to mid 44, maybe that lap time from Killian was phenomenal. On board there with Adrian. Beautifully navigated. Car not stepping out. In complete control of the turn-in. No understeer at all for that little section for Adrian. Looks very comfortable out there. Little lift off the accelerator. I have to say this does look pretty good so far. 1 minute 15.2 for the middle sector. I'll try and remember some of those sector splits. One thing I'm generally not very good at. Beautiful poise from that McLaren. No lockups at all. 43.5 was very good there from Adrian, and will most probably see him through to the next part of quali, as well as Killian, I imagine. Don't imagine those lap times being beaten by too many people. Mr. Wiggles pops in there as now the leading medium tyre runner. 144.5, only a 10th off of Padge, who has used the quicker tyre, so good lap from Wiggles, staying in close quarters with his peers. Smaller Smiley's popped in there as well with a 1 minute 45.4 on the mediums. Currently safe in P12, but might need to improve as Andy just pops into 10th and pushes Smaller down to 13th. And Fury, if he can get a good lap time on the board, he may push some of those medium runners down a little bit more too. Looks pretty good from Fury, but what's it going to be? It's going to be a 43.5, and that is good enough to get him through, I imagine. Greg improves to 14th. 45.1 on the softs. Might need to go again, but does push Smaller Smiley now as the one to beat. Joseph Hales, Josh and Wheat. Definitely not expecting any of those three to drop out of Q1. Certainly not for Deflated Wheat, our standings leader after round 5. After round 4 even. Today is round 5. And Deflated Wheat has had a remarkable point scoring streak in his Tier 1 races. Don't know the exact number, but I imagine it's pushing on 30 races in a row now he's finished in the points. Truly remarkable, and sooner or later that streak is probably gonna end, but certainly if Wee's hoping for the championship in AT1 this season, he'll be hoping that streak can go on as long as it can. 43.8 puts him into the top 4. Only 4 drivers into the 1 minute 43s. As for Josh, well, when he joined AT1, Ross was pretty much dominating everything. Josh came in last season and tore up the scripts, winning the championship in Season 3. Quite a comfortable margin in the end, and has proved to be the one to beat. So far this season, though, it is Deflated Wee. People starting to retire, they haven't crashed. They're comfortable with their place on the leaderboard and think that they are safe. Remember, it's not about being the quickest in this session. It's all about not being in the bottom 4 so far. Smiley, Firebird, Joseph and Josh are the 4 heading out, but still got 4.5 minutes to go. Josh has a 1 minute 15.0 through Sector 2. So that's pretty good. Yellow flags, people just getting out of the way. Nothing too dramatic going on. However, this looks very quick from Josh, just maybe quickest actually. 43.4, very close to quickest. Joseph Hales. No competitive lap time on the board, so hard to know how fast this lap time will be until it pops up on our screen. And running wide at Puon. Gets away without an invalidation though. May have lost some time by going wide. Three minutes left. Smaller Smiley Firebird out on track, looking to improve. Colucci back out on the circuit as well. Very close there between TD Colucci and Greg. Only less than 1/10 separating those three between 14th and 17th now, as Joseph Hales pops in there with a 45.0. Firebird has invalidated, and Smaller Smiley just coming up to the end of his outlap, where he will go again. Good evening, Spingle. Good evening, Pujestic. Nice lap from Paj there, up in P8. And Smaller Smiley with 2 minutes 22 left on the clock, going for another run. You're used to watching F1 streams on this Formula 1 edition of the game. You'll know that the ERS depletes quicker than the last game, meaning you can't go for 2 runs back to back. The ERS will run out and you will lose a whole lot of time. So really, this is, can you nail a lap? If not, back off early so you can recharge the battery. TD in the pits and in 15th, so the one to beat right now. And wants this yellow for 1 minute 27 left, and TD is back out on track. I'm not sure that he is going to get round for another run here. So basically, if anyone beats TD's time out of those bottom 4, TD will be out, and unfortunately for TD, Smaller Smiley is 8 tenths up through that middle sector, setting him up for a mid 1 minute 44, which will put him around E69 in 11th place. Joseph Hales 2 in the pits, so could be seeing Joseph and TD out in this session. Smaller Smiley pushes TD out of qualifying, and he is going very slowly, which indicates that he is not going to get round in time. Colucci then, and Greg and Firebird are the 3 to potentially ruin Joseph Hale's day, and maybe even Andy's day. And if all 3 of them go faster than Carito, Carito could find himself going out of this session. Oh, Firebird having a spin at Puon, and that means that Carito is officially safe. But Greg and Colucci still going. Colucci, 1/4 of a second up through the middle sector. This would be enough to knock out Joseph and go ahead of Andy and Carito as well. Firebird, I believe, has retired on the track, but I didn't quite catch it for confirmation. I'll have to rewatch that one. Colucci then, 13th fastest, and pushes Joseph Hales out of Q1. But will his teammate Andy join him? It's down to Greg. 2 tenths improvement is what he needs. And he gets it up to 10th for Greg there. Nice lap, and Carito goes 14th in the dying moments, but it's not going to matter too much. So Andy on his debut, plus teammate Joseph, TD and Firebird are out in Q1. Well, if you're in the Discord, Joseph and TD have this kind of bromance going on. Well, they can enjoy it even more being on the same row of the grid together, row 9. But unfortunately, Firebird, TD, Joseph, Andy heading out in Q1. Can put a lap together, so Joseph Hales. Very difficult. It's a very long lap here, the longest track on the calendar. However, Killian, Josh, Adrian, Fury in the low to mid 43s, leading the way. Deflated weight within touching distance. Snacks the quickest in the 1 minute 44s. Wiggles and E69 on his debut, getting through on the medium compound tyre. And TD there, you see, best lap time on the mediums, just couldn't get that quicker lap time in on the softs. Only 1.3 separating the top 15 though. Those mediums won't get anyone through to Q3, however, sometimes you just like to use a bit of a sighter lap, get that flow up, get the rhythm, get some practice laps without destroying multiple sets of soft tyres in the process. Always drive better from the back, so not really too fussed. Well, best of luck, Joseph. You do seem to perform better when there's less pressure on you. Snacks here on a flying lap, but no ERS engaged. I'm wondering if he didn't know. He actually, I think he watches the streams, so not too sure if he knows he's got no ERS engaged right now, but it does look like he's going pretty quickly. Evening, Demon. I hope you're well, mate. So Padge will set us off with 44.2, 2 tenths quicker than in Q1. Nice little progression. Mr. Wiggles, 44.2 of his own, but not quite quick enough to dethrone Padge at the top at the moment. Snacks with no ERS engaged as a 46.5. Killian, 43.3, same as last session. And going quickest by almost a second for the second time so far this evening. Of course there is, TD. It's the thrill of it, the fun of it. Contrary to popular belief, this track actually is very difficult. More corners, the more track there is to navigate, more mistakes you could possibly make as well. Curbs are a nightmare. Invalidations are common up Eau Rouge and Radion. And spinning Mercedes. Possibly Snacks. Possibly Asthma Frog. It's a good idea, Joseph. So E69, this one's not going to set anything purple, but nice little banker and sighter lap. Get on the board. After all, we have seen invalidations here tonight, so it's very possible for one of these bottom 8 to not get a lap time on the board. Happened to me plenty of times. Asthma Frog, it wasn't him spinning, because he's just popped in there with a 44.2 and goes 5 milliseconds out of Mr. Wiggles. Carito goes into 7th place with a 45.2. And Snacks boxes. Killian, Padge and Wiggles all back in the pit after their first run. Colucci did go out for a run, went back into the pits afterwards as 10-10 coming to the end of his lap and goes third, 43.9. Definitely separating those top two, Killian and 10-10. Josh did a 43.4 last session, did a 43.2 this time around. Takes charge of that top spot. Still 4 without a time on the board, including this person, Fury. 1 minute 15.1 through the middle sector. So pretty similar to what we saw from a mid 43 lap time last session. Could be another one. .43.4. Nice lap there from Fury. I imagine anything in the 43s will probably get you pretty close. Certainly deflated wheel, I'm not expecting that lap time to get beaten too much. Maybe 10.10's 43.9 might be at risk slightly, but remains to be seen. Still plenty of time for people to improve. I tried double run on mediums, saving ERS on the first run, but spun on the second lap, says Snack. So we did notice you had no ERS, mate. I was trying to make my mind up if it was on purpose or not, but you have confirmed that for me. Yeah, it's CD. That's exactly why I stopped racing, bro. Sometimes it just doesn't go for you, and you can only manage what you can manage. Adrian, this looks good. 43.2 and goes quickest so far. So that is pretty good going from Adrian, popping up there, supporting his teammate in the McLaren's hunt for the Constructors' title. Snack's taking a wider entry to the final corner as he begins a new lap. Gets you a couple of hundredths of a second towards the opening corner. So it is worth it, but it is very marginal gains. So far, that top 5 sitting pretty at the top. Pretty close between Padge, Frog and Wiggles in the midfield. Bit of a gap back towards Greg, Smiley and Carito. Snacks, E69, still waiting to see a competitive lap time from them on soft tyres, where they will slot into the grid, we do not know. And still Colucci awaiting his first valid lap time in Q2. 5 minutes to go. So anyone thinking of coming out on track, best start getting their act together sooner rather than later, just in case you invalidate that first attempt. You want a bit of breathing room to go for a second run. Such a competitive tier, it certainly is. And Snacks invalidating Stavlo. So we'll have to recharge the battery. Might have enough time to go back into the pits and out again, as Greg not on a flying lap this time around, but will be very soon. Mr. Wiggles then through Rivage and No Name. Not used to seeing Mr. Wiggles in the midfield. Definitely quick enough to challenge those top 5. It's very composed through 12 and 13. It's a 15.3, half a second up on his previous best. That's good enough for a 43.7 at this moment. Any more improvements in the final sector might put him up with that top 5. And Mr. Wiggles does break into the top 5, makes it now a top 6 on a 43.510. 2 drivers coming out of the pits. That is Smaller Smiley and someone else who I don't know. Snacks, no. Asthma Frog. Onto the soft compounds. A couple of 10th improvement in the opening. Yellow flags. Sectors 1 and 3, possibly for Greg. I think has improved to a 43.9. I believe so. Up there in P8, Greg. Putting himself in a nice spot there to get through to Q3 again. Can his teammate follow suit? This looks pretty good from E69. Might be a 43. And it is. It's a 43 with 3 more threes on the end of it. And goes up into third, where he should get through. And Carito here has got a mountain of traffic ahead of him. I believe that is Smaller Smiley gearing up for his final lap. Colucci pops in there with a 44.9, but still in the drop zone by about 0.7 of a second. Padge has already retired from this session in the pits, and his time is the one to beat. And Carito almost gets it, but that might be all she wrote for Carito, as with only 1 minute left, and you can see going slowly, Carito will be out. May not start 11th though, could get worse for him if people below him improve. We've got Snacks, Smiley, Colucci and Asthma Frog all out there on track on a flying lap right now. Looks like though one of the Aston Martins going slowly, so potentially one of them is out as well. Oh, Padge needed the toilet, that's why he retired early. You gotta go when you gotta go. Unfortunately, Padge might find himself going out in Q2. Asthma Frog in 6th gear for P1. I've not seen that before. Usually people tackle it in 7th, but interesting to see if anyone else runs that corner in 6th gear, to be honest. People finishing their laps. As you can see, the top 7 all done with the session, plus Greg up there in P9, as Colucci was the one struggling and is out in 13th place. 1010 is out on track, maybe improving out there, but Asthma Frog, Smaller Smiley and Snacks could be the ones to challenge Padge for a spot in Q3. And Smaller Smiley does beat Padge, but Asthma Frog can't improve on his personal best. Now, if Snacks can beat Smaller Smiley here, Smaller Smiley's effort will be in vain and will head out of qualifying. And Snacks can only manage 12th, as he does a 1 minute 44.2. And the gap between 10th and 14th is less than a 10th. That is how close it is. 5 drivers fighting for 1 spot in Q3. Separated by less than a 10th of a second. That is what you call squeaky bum time. 10-10-3 then. Just enjoying a nice Sunday drive on a Thursday. Ten certainly making us wait, but we don't mind. So, closest Q2 session I have seen in a long time, especially in AT1, comes to an end. And Adrian this time tops the timing screens with the top 7 less than 4/10 apart between 1st and 7th. 10-10 Greg, Smaller Smiley making it through by the skin of their teeth, especially Smaller Smiley beating off Padge. Snacks, Carito, Asthma Frog and Colucci, who will drop out in Q2. But for Smiley, Greg, 10-10 Wee, Wiggles, Fury, Killian, E69, Josh and Adrian, 12 minutes are ahead to decide who gets pole position number 5 this season. The track position, you can see Killian not content with sitting behind 10-10 there, but trying to get ahead and going for a move into turn 8. You might see more of that later on in the race, but 10-10 certainly not content with letting Killian past here, and a bit of shenanigans. The last thing you want to do is cause a collision in qualifying and get some damage and ruin your front wing. So it looks like there's a Williams behind, possibly Fury. He's looking to get in on this, and if I'm honest, this is a little unnecessary. This is going to put more pressure on your tyres, increase the tyre wear, and it's going to ruin your flow. Now they're forced to all slow down, try and get some track position between them. And this could be a very close pole. Pole is live, pole position. Who do you think is going to win? Got Josh Wee, Adrian, Killian, or someone else. So if you can't see the poll, maybe refresh your page. You've got 3 minutes to vote for that before things get slightly more frantic. Got an Alpha Romeo of Greg coming out of the pits whilst everyone's starting their laps. Gets out of the way with no bother. Mr. Wiggles then will be the first to get a lap time on the board. Through sector 2, a 1 minute 15.0 is very good, so that's our little benchmark, and it's a 15.3 for Wiggles. May not be the quickest we've seen, but may be inside the 43s. Everyone out on track. Everyone looks to have enough space to play with. 10-10 next across the line, followed by Fury and then Killian. Mr. Wiggles kicks things off with a 43.6. What about 10-10? What can he manage? 44.0 as Fury does a 43.4 and goes provisional pole. Killian, though, quickest lap time we've seen tonight, does a 43.1. Deflated Wheat has invalidated that first attempt, and it will not count. What about Adrian? He topped Q2 and only P4 at this moment in time. E69 pits. Deflated Wheat on a new lap. Smaller Smiley charging the battery as Josh comes through Stavilo on his first attempt. Greg starting a new lap as the last one out of the pits. And all these drivers just finishing their first run, and almost half the session is gone. That's how long it takes them to get rounds here, and this could be a 42 from Josh. It is, it's a 42.9, and that is simply sensational lap time there from Josh LFC, proving why he is the reigning champion. He has disengaged ERS, and Greg on his first run has invalidated. So those two will either have to go again or will dip into the pits for a new set of tyres. Greg, box, or will he go again? He's going to go again, and as a spectator that's great because he's the only one on a flying lap. Josh is on an in lap, I imagine. Smaller Smiley back out to try and get a lap time on the board sooner rather than later. Other drivers filtering back out onto the track now. Fury, 1010, E69, Wee, Adrian, all coming back out onto the track. Those two McLarens have come out at the same time. I wonder if we're going to see some slipstream between those two teammates. As Greg exits Stavlo and thunders towards Ronchimont at 200 miles per hour. Where can Greg slot himself within this top 6? It's a 44.005, putting him 1 millisecond ahead of 1010. Can't get much closer than that. And Greg takes ownership of P6. Smaller Smiley running wide and perhaps spinning in frustration. Ten with a 1 minute 15.4 through the middle sector, so it's not going to challenge, or he's yeah, it's a slow lap. That would make a lot of sense. 10-10 gearing up for one final run then. What about Adrian? Doing the same. Fury starting what could be his final flying run. E69 has either crashed or retired on track at Le Com at turn 6. And that is a crash, it looks like. I'm not too sure. So E69 will start 10th on the grid on his debut. Not too bad, if you do say so. Not an awful place to start in the race. Plenty of opportunities to gain some places. Yellow flag in sector 3. I believe Smaller Smiley is spinning at the bus stop chicane. Deflated Wee forgot to change his tyres. Very interesting. Our championship leader might find himself in 9th for the Grand Prix. Fury, though, 2 tenths to the good. Currently 5 tenths away from Josh, or just under 6 tenths, I'd say. Next up behind Fury, we've got 10-10. And Fury comes across the lines to a 43.1, put himself within touching distance of the front row, and 10-10 has invalidated. He will have a chance to go again. But here comes Adrian now, topped the times in Q2. What can he manage in Q3? It's a 43.2, good enough for P4, but still not quite the heights he had last session. Deflated Wee into the pits, so clearly those tyres not helping him out here. What can Killian do? Josh across the line at a 42.6. And so does Killian. Both on a 42.6 and only 7 1,000ths of a second separating the top two. Phenomenal stuff. And Adrian on a slow lap. Mr. Wiggles also going slowly, but does improve 6 tenths to a 43.3. Still puts him in P5 though, as 10-10 is on a lap, but losing ground in that opening sector. Not sure anyone has the energy and possibly the fuel to go for another run out of those top 5. So this may be it. This may be 10-10's shot to get into that top 5. Oh, and a big spin. It doesn't matter too much if he retired there or not, but that is obviously going to be it for 10-10. Need to just check no one else is on a lap. No Fury, Killian, Josh, no. So, Josh out of fuel, but not out of luck. Pole position by 7 milliseconds. And, oh gosh, let's have a look at the stats. Pole position number, I'll get there eventually, number 10. So congratulations, Josh. IIRL pole position number 10. Could be 11 or 12, I'm not too sure. But there we go, Josh. Winning out, pole position number 10. Ahead of Killian, who is very unlucky to only be 7 milliseconds behind. But both of them seem to be the ones to beat. Fury on the second row of the grid alongside Adrian. I believe that's are they all Austrian? Second, third and fourth? They certainly look like it. That'd be a fascinating stat if that was true. Wiggles within touching distance as well of Fury and Adrian will start 5th on the grid. Greg manages to beat 1010 by 1 millisecond himself, making, I think, possibly his best quali position in IRL. Smaller smiley deflated wheel E69, as we said, very common for drivers to not get a flying lap time on the board, and they will start 8th, 9th and 10th respectively. Very rare, and we will do everything in our power to get a stream out for you next week. But in case you're wondering, in case there's no stream next Thursday, you're wondering why, that is why. But I doubt we'll get to that. But that's right here, right now. Belgium is getting underway. No formation lap, remember. Too many bugs when it's on, as we saw on Sunday night last week. So you have it, Josh and Killian lining up on the front row of the grid, have a clean run into turn 1, and it's a really good start for Killian, for Fury, sorry, who's passed Killian into turn 1, but Josh, unopposed, so far exits turn 1 in the lead, and moving around in the backfield. Side by side go Joseph Hales and Kirito. Kirito just going off the track. Oh, and in the background we have Colucci out of the race. Big spin at the top of Radion into the barrier. And out of the race is Colucci in the opening lap. Drivers jockeying for position. So close here between Greg and smallest Smiley. Battles up front between Fury and Adrian. I believe Fury is ghosted. Maybe he hasn't logged back, joined back on the session after a disconnect. Everyone else seems to be in a massive train. Positions gained as Fury losing out to Adrian, and now Mr. Wiggles flying past on the straight. Deflated wheel gaining now. And Fury, being an AI, is not helping him out at all here. Went up to 2nd momentarily, now all the way down to 7th as 1010 gets past on the last corner, and Greg spinning at the final corner, dropping down to the back of the field. Snacks and Kirito earlier this lap having issues as well. Didn't quite catch what happened there, as Joseph Hales getting past our debutant E69 in the opening corner in the source. And there is so much happening here. I'm missing a lot of it. Oh, and in the barrier! E69 out of the race, and a full course yellow. It's a VSC, I believe, as Kirito has pitted. And I also believe Greg, no, that's E69's car at Radion. 2 laps so far, 2 crashes at Radion. It is absolute carnage. Just like on Tuesday night. Oh, as the VSC ends and Snacks gets a drive-through penalty. Joseph Hale's really on the ball here tonight. Really trying to capitalise from that Q1 exit. He's already into the top 7. As I'm going to try inviting Fury back. I'm not sure if he actually is in this race. Right out. Hopefully that works. Josh leads Killian. Adrian in 3rd place, under real fire though from Mr. Wiggles. And as they start lap 3, DRS will be enabled, which means out of Radion towards turn 5, we might see some moves. Killian might make a move for the lead, as behind we've got 10-10 running wide at turn 1 and losing out to Deflated Wee. Still possibly in with a shot. Oh, Snacks into the pits and meant to retire but didn't. Not seen that one before, Snacks, I have to be honest with you. Smaller Smiley here, within touching distance of a spot in the top 7. Smaller and Padge, the only ones starting on the mediums. Everyone else starting on the hard compound tyre. Carito has made a pit stop, that's why he's onto the mediums now. Big fight here as 10-10 done well to close the gap on the drivers ahead. Mr. Wiggles looking to get within DRS range of Josh. And so far, it looks like he has some pretty good pace to try and close that gap. Joseph Hale's time penalty as Deflated Wee started 9th, now in 5th, challenging his teammate. There won't be any team orders here at McLaren. This will be free to race. Mr. Wiggles trying to get within DRS range, and in doing so might be escaping Adrian's range and DRS window. So Mr. Wiggles pops in there with the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Still early doors and early days. I'm expecting that time to be beaten later on in the Grand Prix. Remember, fastest lap in this Grand Prix will get a £20 Amazon gift card. And here it comes, the move. McLaren swapping with McLaren, this time Deflated Wee past Adrian, and an opportunity perhaps for Deflated Wee to try and close that gap on the top 3. Oh, Adrian holds it well, doesn't get any damage from that, but damage is done psychologically. Down to 12th now for Adrian, and if he wants some good points tonight, he'll have to possibly hope for a safety car, as he's really struggling to keep those tyre temps in check. Smaller Smiley got past Joseph Hales a few moments ago. And Padge, Asthma Frog and TD doing a good job there, up to 10th after his quali left him in 18th place. Andy also qualified 16th, now up to 11th, capitalising from others' mistakes. As Snacks does retire in the pits. Kirito not having the easiest of races so far. Firebird as well. 8 seconds adrift of Greg, down in 15th place. Joseph Hales attacking smaller. Oh, a bit of understeer there. Heavy fuel loads means the car is heavier, difficult to turn. And Padge now looking to make those mediums count. Will have to make a pit stop earlier than Joseph Hales. Might be attempting what he tried last week when he achieved a very powerful undercut at Abu Dhabi. Top three have escaped from the pack slightly. Oh, and maybe Josh at threat of dropping out of the DRS range of Killian, but oh, has Joseph Hales gone? Had a big crash on Tuesday night with a collision, slight collision with deflated wheat, and this time just drops it at the exit of Stavelot by himself. Smaller Smiley with a time penalty, as well as 1010, who is on the back of deflated wheat and making moves. And Joseph Hales' incredible start has stuttered somewhat. Although it is completely pointless today going into the pits to retire, as Fury does rejoin. He will find himself down in 14th place. But again, it's not pointless to retire in this Grand Prix. Go to the ends, put on a set of soft tyres, and have a go for the fastest lap as Mr. Wiggles gets a 3-second time penalty. More time penalties in his opening 6 laps than we saw on Tuesday night, that's for sure. As Mr. Wiggles goes wide again. Wonder if there's some front wing damage, or maybe he's got dirty air running behind Josh. So there's a yellow flag, possibly for Andy. Not too sure who that was for there, but cleared up pretty quickly. Let's have a look then at position change. Killian and Josh swapping places off their opening grid slots as Josh again finds himself 9/10 back from Killian. So Killian here is trying to get Josh out of the DRS range. Mr. Wiggles up 2, deflated we up 5. Nice start there, up into the top 4. 1010 and smaller up a couple of places. Padge, Asma Frog, TD up 9, the most so far. Brilliant start there from 18th on the grid. Andy up 6 as well, currently with 1 point in hand. Adrian after that spin at the exit of Lecombe, down in 11th. Greg as well having problems on the opening lap, and Fury being disconnected for large periods of this race. Are the biggest losers so far from their grid slots. As Killian taking charge of this Grand Prix, escaping Josh, and now 1.1 seconds clear. Mr. Wiggles within DRS range of Josh, but with that time penalty needs to stay 3 seconds out of deflated Wee, otherwise he may lose a podium. 1010 on the back of Wee, I'm sure 1010 will be looking to stay within range here and try and force Wee into getting a penalty of his own. A smaller Smiley, 4 seconds back from those top 5 as Padge and Asma Frog for company. TD trying to push and get within that DRS range as well, and Andy rounding at the top 10. Not too far behind TD on his debut. He missed the start. Colucci slamming into the barrier at Radion in lap 1, and E69 doing exactly the same thing in lap 2 as we have Firebird spinning and Asma Frog spinning at the final corner. That's allowing people to jump up places, and Frog is down to P13 now as Firebird retires on track. Wonder if that's a crash. We've got yellow flags out. There's no one around, so that car might get cleared up. Can't tell if that was a... Oh, his car's still moving here, so that is a intentional retire on track, not a crash. That's a bit naughty. Clearly hasn't read the rulebook, I'm afraid. Will be penalised for that, Firebird. Evening, Novatech. Hope you're well, mate. Lap 8 of 22, almost at half race distance. Blink and you miss it. Plenty of stuff going on in these opening 8 laps, but in the past few laps it's just calmed down a little bit. Drivers getting some gaps here and there. TD would be within DRS range of Asthma Frog, who was behind Padge in 8th place right now, but TD now has to gain a few tenths just to get DRS now. It's a bit of a hard slog for TD, but doing well so far. As Smaller Smiley boxes, has the mediums on, so I imagine he'll go hards to the end, unless he wants a shot at the fastest lap towards the end of the Grand Prix. And we'll get confirmation of these hard tyres. Yes, indeed they are. And Smaller Smiley comes out of the pits in 14th place as Fury goes past to overtake. Go on board then with 1010, who seems to be pushing Deflated Wheat and trying to make moves into the top 4. Has the time penalty, so will lose 3 seconds at the end of the race. We'll keep him in 5th. But his hopes for a podium right now aren't looking amazing. Same for Mr. Wiggles. Needs to finish 3 seconds out of Deflated Weed to keep that podium. Top 2, as you were. Gap has stabilised at 1.1 seconds. Josh hasn't had DRS now for a good 3 or 4 laps. But not losing any time, critically. Just waiting for your disputes to be reviewed. I imagine they'll be done very soon. Novatech. There's been a lot of chat, so I imagine you'll hear about them either later on today or tomorrow, I imagine. Lap 10, Deflated Wheat. Red light is flashing, which means he's down to 10% ERS or lower. Padge into the pits, mirroring the strategy of Smaller Smiley. TD said today, okay, well, we may have to wait until after, definitely after the race, but depends on how TD's feeling after this race. If he gets fastest lap, I imagine he'll get it done ASAP. And Padge and Smaller Smiley swapping places. Smiley was ahead of Padge before the pit stops. Padge, by doing an overcut, has actually got ahead of Smaller Smiley here, but Smiley has the fresher tyre, the warmer tyres. Will have more grip, more confidence in this part of the track. You can see Padge there just understeering into turn 5 and Smiley on the back of him. This is the closest fight on track. Plenty of people within DRS range. Adrian now within DRS range of Andy. After that early spin at turn 7, Adrian looking to fight back and get some good points for the McLaren boys. Smaller Smiley so far unable to convert these nice toasty tyres into 13th place, but these two will need to wait a few laps before everyone else pits. Kilian comes across the line to start lap 11, and I imagine we'll probably see people into the pits around lap 14 or 15. Smaller Smiley then round the outside of the bus stop chicane. Bit of an unorthodox overtaking opportunity, but both giving each other plenty of room as Asthma Frog pits and boxes onto the mediums. So that's a bit of an early pit stop. I imagine Asthma Frog might struggle to get those mediums to the end comfortably, but maybe Asthma Frog is planning to go for a soft run at the end as Mr. Wiggles, channeling his inner Adrian, spinning at turn 7 and losing 3rd place. Now Deflated Wee and 1010 in the battle for the podium out on track as Smaller Smiley gets past Padge into turn 5, but Mr. Wiggles, that has now put him at risk of losing 5th to TD, who has had a fantastic race so far, while others have made mistakes, had some spins, finds himself in a net 5th place. Let's not forget TD was battling with Smiley and Padge before their pit stops, so we may see Padge and Smiley in the battle for 5th place later in the Grand Prix. Ten head of Deflated Wee as Deflated Wee pits, and maybe I've got my tyre strategy a little bit off. Maybe lap 12, 13 is the one for the undercut, as on go a new set of medium compound tyres. Mr. Wiggles, after that spin, decides enough is enough with these hards. I want some proper tyres on my car, and it's a new front wing for Mr. Wiggles, so he'll lose an extra 5 and a bit seconds. Meaning TD is now released into what was 5th, and TD obviously onto the mediums as well. And there is Smiley and Padge behind, closing. This is going to be a very interesting 3-way fight as Adrian gets past Andy into turn 5. And here we go, Smaller Smiley on TD, has the DRS, so powerful. You can see he's ahead. Smaller Smiley, TD late on the brakes. Oh, and maybe a bit too late as he brakes a bit too hard into Smiley there. Initiates the contact as TD and gets spun round a little bit, losing a bit of ground as Mr. Wiggles now lost 5 seconds to TD in the pits, but now on the back of him. In the last couple of laps, Kilian has pulled out a second on Josh. Gap was around 1.1, 1.2 seconds. It's now 2.3 as Kilian boxes on lap 12. So does 1010, but Josh stays out. So certainly Kilian trying to cover the potential undercut from Deflated Wee. 1010 covering it off as well. Josh not interested in doing it this lap. Joseph not interested either in boxing. Will stay out and complete lap 12. Kilian ahead comfortably of Deflated Wee by quite a long way as well, but Deflated Wee got that move done on 1010. That little undercut has worked wonders. 1010 will have the DRS though, so you can try and keep up as Asthma Frog sets the fastest lap of the race. Huge battle going on. Oh, it seems Mr. Wiggles is off at turn 6. It's just not quite going Wiggles' way today. A couple of mistakes here and there. As we know, no point retiring today. May as well do as best you can and then go for a fastest lap opportunity at the end. And maybe Mr. Wiggles is thinking just that now. Maybe he thinks, well, I've got a time penalty, I'm in P12, there's not much to play for here. Around 3 or 4 seconds off some points. Maybe Mr. Wiggles could repeat what he did on Tuesday and get a £20 Amazon gift card. So Josh stayed out an extra lap. Looks like he's going to lose out to Killian. And he was 2.3 behind. He's now 3.6. That extra lap has cost him 1.5 seconds. Mr. Wiggles retires from the session, so not fancying a shot at the fastest lap, retires from the Grand Prix. We lead in the championship, leads Josh by 25 points, but as things stand, Josh is only gaining 3 points on Wii. So, when all is said and done, Deflated Wii, this isn't a bad result at all. Obviously, he'd love to finish ahead of his championship rivals, but Killian, as things stand, is 35 points adrift, so we'll close that to 25 on Deflated Wii, but still, Wii very much in control as things stand. But certainly, Killian has had incredible pace and consistency so far, as Adrian around the outside of Padge. TD also fancies a move on his good buddy Majestic, and maybe just a slight mistake there from Padge. Maybe Adrian forced Padge a little bit wider than he'd like, as Killian has gone for a fastest lap attempt and does a 44.8. Can anyone beat that? The gauntlet has been thrown, and maybe Josh, with fresh tyres on the car, can maybe challenge that. Carito has boxed last lap as well. He remains in last place, as Andy now fighting with Padge. Good realistic chance here for Andy to get some points on his debut. As TD now gets a time penalty. That's smaller at the front of this train, and TD, who seems to have lost a lot of ground up Radion. So there goes Adrian. Has had really good pace here tonight, but that spin at turn 7 early on set him back a little bit, but now up into the top 7 again. Fury and Joseph Hales yet to pit. Maybe looking to take those hard tyres another few laps and then go on to the softs, so it doesn't affect their strategy too much. They don't have to box again for soft tyres. They can just do it in their strategy. Could be a very shrewd and wise decision, but certainly when they pit, they will come out of the points. Josh gaining this lap on Killian. I wonder if he's going for a fastest lap attempt as they approach the final chicane and complete lap 15. As Fury looking to get past Joseph Hales. Fury boxes, so I imagine he'll be onto the mediums. But Joseph Hales here might be staying out and going onto the soft tyres in a few laps' time. Just check with Fury. I don't want to assume he's going onto the mediums. Might be going onto the softs here. It is mediums for Fury, as this battle continues to rage on. Smaller Smiley defending 7th from TD, Padge and Andy. And TD here looks very close to the back of Smaller Smiley. TD this season has been battling Platty furiously. This time, it's been Smaller Smiley. Ten meanwhile, sticking with Deflated Wee. We said earlier on, with that time penalty, just stick with Deflated Wee. Try and force him into getting a penalty, and then maybe try and save up your battery and go for a move for the podium. Doing a good job here at sticking with Wee's DRS. Josh is continuing to close that gap. It's going down by about 3 or 4 tenths per lap here. So if he carries on, might find himself with an opportunity at some DRS in the final couple of laps. But Killian doing very well to manage that gap out front. 4.2, 4.1 is the gap. These two have a comfortable lead on Joseph, who is in 5th and yet to pit. Has a 15-second lead on Adrian, who looking good here for P5 after that spin in turn 7. Smaller Smiley just getting a bit of a snap out the final corner allows TD to be a lot closer into turn 1 than I'm sure Smaller would like. And only 2 tenths away now. Looking increasingly likely that TD might make a move here into the com. Out of Radion gets a very good exit. And here comes the DRS. Just like Smaller Smiley went past TD with the DRS. It's roles reversed. TD with the inside line. Breaks into the com. Smaller Smiley had to back off there. That was TD's corner. Oh, and he's gone wide. Oh, and he's in the barrier. Don't think he's got too much damage. That is a little bit of an unforced error from Smaller Smiley. He was having a great race up until then. Without that time penalty, would have been very, very impressive. But a slight mistake and might find himself under pressure from Greg in 11th. Certainly, Padge and Andy deserve all the points they may get tonight if they carry on the way they have been. Very consistent. Have not been the fastest out there, but didn't need to. Just kept their nose clean. No penalties on the board. And Smaller Smiley goes for another spin. And, well, that may designate Smaller Smiley as one of the people to go for a fastest lap attempt. Maybe Asma Frog and Carito are thinking similar things at the moment. It is getting now to that point where we will see people starting to box for soft tyres. Joseph Hales has still not pitted. He's done 17 laps on the mediums, and I'm sure, without any shadow of a doubt, he'll be going onto the soft tyre for a fastest lap attempt and his second stint of the race all in one. And here comes 10-10 on our championship leader, Deflated Wee. Gets that move done. Nice move as well from 10-10 under braking. But Deflated Wee, we have seen on Tuesday night, very adept at sticking with people, at going for moves. And Adrian now cruising up to the back of Joseph Hales, who has been on those hard tyres for the whole Grand Prix. Must be absolutely shredded. Another time penalty, trying to maybe going for a fastest lap attempt or just getting another warning. Should stay in 4th. Adrian a good 16-17 seconds back. Adrian looking for a move. This is deja vu for Joseph Hales. This is exactly what happened on Tuesday night. Deflated Wee, unfortunately, hitting Joseph into Blanchimont as Joseph Hales backed off, and right to do so. He's boxing anyway. Releases Adrian into P5. And Joseph Hales, I imagine, will be onto the soft compound tyres. How many more will box? This is the question. £20 Amazon gift card up for grabs for the fastest lap winner of this Grand Prix. But who will it be? I'm not imagining any of these top 4 pitting. I don't imagine Adrian pitting either. TD, I imagine, will stay out, but maybe if he fancies a chance at immortality, might go for it. Andy ahead of Padge in the last couple of laps and missed that one, but Andy having a very strong debut, up from 16th on the grid to P7. And TD, who started in 18th, is now up 12 places in the top 6 as Joseph Hales gets a time penalty out of the pits. Battle for the final points as Greg and Fury battling over P9. Yellow flag, that is Asma Frog spinning at Puon and getting back on track. End of lap 19, we may see some drivers pit. End of lap 20, we may see some drivers pit as Fury late on the brakes. I have to say, that's a pretty good move there. Greg broke a little bit early. Granted, however, just making sure that they bring the car home for some points. Padge back within relative striking distance from Andy. Asma Frog pits. And pits for a set of soft tyres. So 2 attempting the fastest lap right now. Lap 20 is going to be the last lap where people can pit for a fastest lap attempt. So if no one pits this lap, it's just Joseph and Asma going for it. Evening, Steve. Hope you're well. You've come at the right time. The end of the Grand Prix is fast approaching. Killian has been in charge of this Grand Prix, managing the gap to Josh before the pit stops. Pitted 1 lap before Josh, gained a 4.5 second lead. Josh has been chipping away at it, to be fair, but not quite close enough to get within DRS range and challenge for that win. 10-10 with 6 seconds of time penalties will lose the podium as things stand to deflated Wee. Adrian, who had a spin at turn 7 in the opening few laps, has fought valiantly back up into the top 5 as Smaller Smiley gets a time penalty. We have Colucci and E69 crashing at Radion on laps 1 and 2 respectively. Everyone else has retired in the pits except from Firebird, who cheekily retired out on track. Evening TJ as well, hope you're well, mate. Josh is closing on Killian here, but with only 2 laps remaining, it might be too little too late. Smaller Smiley boxes, no surprise there for a shot at the fastest lap and a £20 Amazon gift card. And Carito joining him. So 4 out there, trying to get the fastest lap. Can't tell you which lap they're attempting the fastest lap on. We'll just have to wait and see. Currently, I believe Killian has the fastest lap. Yes, he does. 1:44.8. And frustratingly for Joseph Hales, he's done a 44.9. So he's currently missed out by 1/10 as things stand. I have to say, if Killian manages to get the fastest lap on those mediums at the start of his medium stint, That will be an absolutely incredible achievement as he comes across the line to start the final lap of the race. Fury here, after getting past Greg a few laps ago, he's on the back of Padge. Those bottom four outside of the points will not get any points in this Grand Prix as things stand, but we'll be looking out for fastest lap. As here comes Fury down the inside of Padge, up into 8th. A yellow flag in Sector 2 and Sector 3, I believe, for Asthma Frog. Trying to push that car and get the fastest lap of the race, but just spinning. Comes Padge, trying to stay ahead of Fury. Fury late on the brakes, channeling his inner Ricardo and staying ahead of Padge. That was a remarkable attempt there from Fury. He made the corner as well, so Fury definitely used to attacking and defending other drivers. Definitely been very impressive. Focus though returns to Killian. It's been a flawless Grand Prix from him. Took the lead from Josh in the opening couple of laps. Got out of the DRS range. Out of the pit stops. Had a 4.5 second lead. And wins this race comfortably by around 3 seconds. Josh deserves his spot on the podium. 10-10 will come home in 3rd. But Deflated Weed knew he had the time penalties. So will stay. Will get on the podium as well. Adrian, after the early spin, it looked like maybe some strong points might not be on the cards, but the recovery drive was absolutely phenomenal as he comes home to finish in 5th. TD, I have to say, has been absolutely outstanding tonight. From 18th in Q1 exit to 6th place. Been very impressed as well by Andy and Fury. Padge, consistent as ever, finishes in the points. Greg in 10th, Mr. Consistent as always. And will we have a fastest lap attempt? Smaller Smiley, 2.2 seconds up on his Delta. You get the feeling this is the chance. Current fastest lap is a 1:44.8. Joseph Hales missed out on that by a 1/10 of a second. What about Smaller Smiley? Smaller Smiley gets it by a few hundredths. What about Kirito though? He's improving on his personal best. But it's not quite good enough. It's only 3/10 off. And Asthma Frog finishing off this Grand Prix in 14th place. A valiant effort from all of those drivers. But Smaller Smiley, congratulations. £20 Amazon gift card coming your way. Watch out for your DMs in Discord. Goldilocks will be in touch. But for Killian, that was absolutely phenomenal. No mistakes, managing the gap, perfect pace, perfect consistency, and had it not been for a few extra hundredths of a second, will find himself with the gift card as well. But Smaller Smiley, I'm sure Killian will be very frustrated at that. Smaller Smiley gets it with the fastest lap of the race. As we said, Colucci retiring at Radeon on lap 1. E69 exactly the same place on lap 2. I believe some kind of incident with Smaller Smiley. Snacks and Wiggles retiring in the pits earlier in the Grand Prix, and Firebird with that retirement out on track. May get a time penalty for that by the stewards. And driver of the day, I'm going to give joint to TD and Andy. Both had very underwhelming, shall we say, qualifying performances, but both definitely deserve their spot in the points. Making moves up the field, TD capitalising in that opening stint from a lot of people making mistakes, and definitely deserve to have driver of the day. Obviously, massive congratulations to Killian, Josh, Wee, and everyone else in the points. But driver of the day will be joint TD and Andy on his debut. Congratulations.